Hi, I'm Jackie Tantillo, and this is Should Have Listened to My Mother. Hi, hello everybody. I just want to say thank you to all my listeners. I always like beginning the show that way. Should Have Listened to My Mother keeps growing and spreading across the world, and why not? We all have stories to share about our moms. We consider them to be superheroes, but we forget that they're human. Women with interests and passions of their own that get put on the back burner till we get our act together as kids. So, regardless of which hemisphere you live, we're all connected because of this common thread called mom. Just the honor of sharing these hundreds of reflective stories of mothers over the past 5 years means the world to me. Stories of women who have jumped into the fire to do the best they could with what they had. And we're acknowledging the significance of these mothers and female role models in our lives. Today, we're shining a light on someone who's fallen and gotten back up stronger and more driven than ever to live a healthy and fulfilled life. Gina Kunadian is ready to help those in need of transforming their life. She's the host of the podcast Shine Within and an alcohol-free sobriety coach. In addition to her alcohol dependency, she has worked her way through depression and anxiety, which she'll explain began from childhood trauma. Her main goal is to help women overcome their alcohol dependency. She's a mom, a wife, and a certified massage therapist. And after trying inpatient and outpatient treatment counseling and beyond, she's developed her own healing process called Transformation Shining Process, which encompasses support to help women recover from alcoholism, achieve their goals on their own terms, and live a fuller life. Shining Process stands for sobriety, healing, inspiration, nurturing, and empowerment. She has found the key to building a life of sobriety, and Gina is going to share the role her mom played in her journey through good times and bad, and now in an alcohol-free life. Gina Kunadian, welcome to Should Have Listened to My Mother.
Wow, what a beautiful introduction, Jackie. Thank you so much for that. I appreciate you.
Before we started recording, we were chatting a little bit about the bright light that surrounds Gina and is emotive.
Yeah.
If you watch any of her videos, it is just so contagious. So I applaud you right out of the gate for that. And I love Transformation Shining Process. It all kind of lends itself toward the attitude or perspective of what a healing process should be. It's got to have a positive name or a positive direction. So here we are to talk about your mom. And I usually like to start off asking how you refer to your mom or what your mom's name is, so we don't have to just say she.
Yes. Oh, my mom is so beautiful. Her name is Linda. And in Spanish, even though I don't speak full Spanish, it's linda, means very pretty, like, okay, linda. So I always think of her as beautiful Linda. Mm-hmm. But she's mom. She's my mom. I refer to her as my mom. And she's just a beautiful being. And she's really gone through a lot herself growing up. Abused as a child. Her mother really didn't know how to love properly, according to her. This is what she says. According to her. And so she just did the best that she could with the 4 children that she has. And I'm the youngest of the 4.
You're in San Jose area, correct? California. Where was your mom raised?
So it's so interesting. She actually is raised exactly where I live now.
Fantastic.
She lives in Fremont, which is only about 25 minutes north of San Jose, California. And so we're really close to each other, but we were sharing stories about Alum Rock because it's a beautiful hillside. It's green, it's lush, it's just gorgeous there. And I love it. She said she was just playing around there all the time as a little girl, but she grew up here in San Jose.
Oh, wonderful. So I just wanted to go back for a second. Did you say your maternal grandmother was abusive to your mom when she was a child?
Yeah, so she was physically abusive, yes, and just name calling. My mom was actually in foster care for a little bit growing up, and she just remembered just a bunch of name calling from her own mother, which gave her really low self-esteem, low self-worth. She really was just lost as a child, and she wound up leaving the house as soon as she graduated from high school. She left and then just sort of like just built a life of her own, doing the best that she can with what she knew and what she had.
And where is she in the order of her siblings?
Okay, so there's 6 of them, and she's like I think she's like the third to eldest.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how old was she when she split? Good for her. I mean,
She was
my
about
gosh.
17 or 18 years old. I believe she was 18 as an adult. Yeah. So she's like, I'm out of here.
Wow. Where did she get that inspiration and power and confidence? That's pretty
Right.
great.
I know. Bold, right?
Yeah. So what about the rest of her siblings? Did they stay with their
You know,
mom?
great question. I'm not sure.
Okay. Does she have a relationship with her siblings, or because she left they were mad at her, resented her?
No, she's the closest ever to her siblings. Like, we're all like a close family. My grandma, going back, she did pass away about several years ago, but my mom was actually going to see her, talking to her, just forgiving her. And I was just so happy. Like, after so many years, 'cause I didn't grow up with Grandma Bobby. Her name is Roberta. I didn't grow up with Grandma Bobby. And so I didn't have a grandma figure because my real father passed away when I was a baby. So I didn't really know that side of the family. And plus, they had already passed on, my grandparents.
Right.
So I was just my mom and myself for the longest time. But she had mended the relationship with her mother, and they were able to just finally forgive each other, love each other. And then she wound up passing because she was like in her 90s at the time.
Was it verbal, emotional abuse?
Yes, verbal and emotional abuse. She experienced. And, she was in and out of our lives here and there. She would come to family functions because my aunt would bring her. My mom, like, "Oh, what did you do? Why are you bringing her?" But, she wouldn't make a scene. She would just let it be, but she wouldn't talk to her. But, it's just, we just didn't grow up with grandma.
Okay, and that's a good thing, right? But your mom tolerated her presence, which is good, instead of completely annihilating her, I guess, as long as she didn't regress every time she was with her mom. That's always hard.
Yeah.
Absorb that like a sponge and you go back to being a kid again. That's really hard.
Right.
So your mom took that great big step out the door, and then you were presented into her life.
Yes, the black sheep of the family.
Okay, here we go.
So my mom was married before, and then she had 3 children. My siblings are older than me, about 10 years, 11 years, and then 7 years. I have 2 brothers and 1 sister, and then me. And then me. So like I mentioned to you, my father was murdered when I was a baby. So I didn't have a father figure growing up.
Oh, I didn't know that. Did I miss that? Oh my God.
He was murdered. Yeah. And so I wasn't close to that side of the family as I would like to be. But I did have an aunt that really did take care of me on my father's side. And so I would call her like grandma because she was a little bit older.
Sure.
She was like the older aunt, or the older, like the grandma figure.
Maternal figure, yeah.
Yeah, she was wonderful because my mom was working so much because she was raising 4 children on her own. And she would just hustle grinding. So we really didn't get a chance to spend a lot of family time together. And my siblings were a lot older. They were pretty much taking care of themselves and then taking care of me. And then, like I said, I have that aunt who would take care of me a lot of the times. And my mom remembers me drawing a picture as a little girl. I was maybe about 5 years old, of a father, her, and myself only, not even including my siblings, right? And so that was like, well, maybe she needs like a father figure in her life. And so she wound up bringing a man. I was maybe around 6 years old, and we all thought he had great intentions, but he didn't. He actually sexually molested me from the ages of 6 years old to 12 years old. And so I didn't know how to take that because I didn't know what to feel. I didn't know how to express what was going on because I was I thought everything would be then my fault. I didn't want to blame my mom. Everything would go to like, it's my fault. And so I kept that all inside, and I had a lot of stomach issues, a lot of health issues growing up. And I remember even after my mom and that guy broke up, thank goodness, oh my goodness, but I still never said anything. I got into bad relationships in high school, which then I was dabbling with narcotics my senior year, and I wound up getting kicked out of the house. And I remember me living with my boyfriend at the time, and then going to college, actually, because I got accepted to go to Cal State Fullerton. And so we were going to go. So a couple of our friends decided to room with us down in Southern California. We're living in Orange County. And I did not have any connection with my mom for at least a year or so. No communication, no nothing. It was just like the most bizarre experience in the world, because we always had communication. We always had something. But I was the one who was always the rebel, getting into trouble, had the piercings, had the tattoos, had all of I wanted to go against everything that she was trying to teach. And later on, my boyfriend and I had broken up. It was a bad breakup. I called her and she's like, just come home. I'm like, okay. So I literally drove all the way back home. And then she saw on my wrist that I had tried to cut myself. And she was like, what is this? And I said, we had a bad breakup. I didn't know what to do. I felt lost, alone. You weren't there. I didn't have anybody. I felt like I needed to not be here on planet Earth anymore. She's like, you promised me you will never, ever, ever do this ever again. And I said, I promise, I promise. So we're trying to build a relationship there. And I was going to San Jose State University then at the time, and I was working like two or three jobs. I was just trying to change my life. And bless her heart, she's put up with so much of my crap. Here again, I wasn't coming home, not calling, I was just the rebel again, and my behaviors came back. And then I started using cocaine. This was I was maybe 21, 22. And then we had a family intervention. She brought all my siblings together. And mind you, my mom had actually remarried when I was 17 to a wonderful man. Oh, they're still married to this day. They just celebrated their silver anniversary this last January. Great. He is my papa. Yeah, he is my papa. So we all had this family intervention, and they said, well, what's going on? What's this behavior of yours? And I'm just like, well, the reason why I'm probably like this is because I was sexually molested between this time and this time. And then there was a pause. And there was a pause, and then everyone was taken back. And then my mom took me aside, and then she was asking me questions. At first, these questions felt like, what, you don't believe me? What, she was asking me like certain parts of near the genital areas, all these things that I was like making me feel uncomfortable. But I was being honest, and I had to tell her the truth. And she was, do you want me to find him? I'm like, no, please. I just finally was able to express exactly what was bothering me for so many years and why I probably was being destructive. Yeah, there's a lot going on there, right?
That's a lot when you can breathe. So how old are you at this point when you finally opened up to your mom?
I was 22 years old or 23.
From 12 to 22.
Yes.
Wow. So he did exactly what predators do, right? They intimidate, yes, and they threaten, and they lure you in. Again, I apologize to you and to all the men, women, and children who have been abused sexually, emotionally, physically. As I mentioned to you earlier before we started the conversation, I'm so glad that someone like you is open like a book, and you are sharing all of this with people that reach out to you for help, because that's not something you can tuck away because you tucked it away, or you thought you did, and it reared its ugly head in many different areas, right, for a number of years. So do you speak when you work with patients or clients? Do you speak about all of this with them?
Oh, no. Unless they ask me, like, personally, we mostly just focus on them. For me, it's like if they ever ask, like, hey, have you ever experienced this yourself? I'll be like, honest, like, yes, I have. Okay. Mostly they come to me because they're feeling low self-esteem, low self-worth, and that's exactly what I experienced up until before I turned like 30-something years old, to be honest with you. Right. I didn't build that confidence. I'm 42 right now, but it took me that long to finally know my worth.
And from what I understand, you went to all of the AAs, you went to the inpatient, outpatient clinics, all that, and it worked temporarily, or you weren't buying it from the get-go, or what was that
I was
experience?
not buying it from the get-go. I was still in denial because, alcoholism is really just a symptom of really what's going on underneath everything. And really what I was going through was anxiety, anger, depression, everything. All it did was stem from my childhood. And yeah, so when I went to outpatient program, one of the counselors asked me, "Hey, are you drinking alcohol?" And I denied it. I said, "No, I'm here for anger and I'm here for my anxiety. I want to learn coping skills on that." But really, the alcohol was creating more of that depression, more of that anger, and more of that anxiety. And I was on medication back then that was supposed to help. It really didn't.
Well,
Nothing really
plus
helped.
the alcohol, it makes it a mixed up cocktail too, and
Yes,
alcohol is a
yes.
depressant from a little that I
Right.
know. So, and you were self-medicating with the alcohol, right?
Yes,
On top
exactly. I
of the
did.
pills, then everything else. So,
Right.
so was this the breakthrough, or just one of the breakthroughs of many? This conversation with your mom, or
Yeah.
yeah,
So yeah,
okay.
the first time I admitted I was an alcoholic, I had just finished the outpatient program. My husband left me, took our child because was married before, and what wound up happening is she said, "Well, I'm going to pick you up. It was Thanksgiving 2014. We're going to go to your brother's house for Thanksgiving." Okay. Now, Jackie, mind you, let me just tell you, I needed alcohol in order for me to survive. If I didn't drink, I would have probably died. So at that point, when we arrived to my brother's house, I was already feeling sick. I didn't have any alcohol with me, and I asked my mom, "Can you please give me some wine?" She's like, "No way." I was like, "But you don't understand. I don't feel good. Like if I don't have it, I may have a seizure here. I'm not sure. I just feel like I'm gonna pass out." And then she brings me only 4 ounces, and I'm like, "No, mom, I need the whole bottle." So she gave me the whole bottle, and as soon as I drank, I felt normal, whatever normal is at that time for me. And that's the moment I'm like, you know what? This is crazy. I need alcohol in order for me to even walk, to talk,
Well,
to
let alone
drive.
not 4 ounces, but a
Right?
whole
Isn't it
bottle.
crazy?
So
Exactly.
that's
I was
that's
It's
indicative of
crazy.
something.
It's crazy. Yeah, it was crazy. So that's the time I admitted I was an alcoholic, and then the next month I checked myself into rehab.
And how
Yeah.
long were you there? Did it help you? Was that the
Oh
beginning?
my
Another
goodness.
beginning? No.
It's talk forever about this. So yeah, so I was there 30 days. After 30 days, where did I go? Because I thought I can do it on my own by myself. I went to the casino and started drinking again. So it was like the journey is not linear at all. The journey has its relapses, has its hiccups, but as long because I had that end goal in mind, like, hey, I want to be sober one day. One day I want to be sober. And the breaking point to answer your question was the time that I was in my car at a liquor store in the parking lot. It was in 2017. And I had enough. It was in another relationship. It was going chaos there. I was just crying and crying in my car, and I finally surrendered. And I said, "You know what, universe, I cannot do this alone. I need help. I need help. Like,
Yeah.
I can't do this by myself." 2 weeks later, I found myself in the hospital with pancreatitis. There, the doctor gave me a firm conversation, and she was very not happy with my health conditions. She's like, "You need to take your health very seriously because you're going to die in 10 years if you continue on drinking the way you're drinking. You need to quit altogether." And I'm like, and then really like something, I don't know if it was her energy or something happened, but then I thought about my children because then I had 2 children now. And I'm like, oh my goodness, what would it be like for them not to grow up with a mother? And then I was like, oh no. And everything just hit me spiritually, emotionally, physically. And I really sat with myself in that hospital for a week, no visitors. I'm sure I probably made everyone upset at the time. No one wanted to see me. But I sat with myself and I really did have to do some self examining. And that, when I got released a week later, I went home. There was a bottle of vodka. I threw it away, and I decided that I'm going to change my life. This is it. This is the moment because I detoxed at the hospital. This is the perfect opportunity for me to start brand new.
with a dependency like this, it's often that patients detox, then relapse over and over again, and it can go on for decades or the rest of their life.
Yeah. Right.
You have to hit that rock bottom, I guess, that desperation. Something, you have to want something in the future, whether it was your children, a healthy you, a relationship with your mother, and the kids was one of the many things. And that doctor, God bless that doctor,
Yes.
it was your time. Because I know it is not easy. So I applaud you, and I can't imagine it was pleasant. What was your mom going through when you were experiencing all this? Was she trying to keep in touch with you? Did you let her in, or was you had to do this all on your own?
So she was there for me when I needed, but you know what? When you're in addiction, you want to isolate. So I isolated myself. I wasn't in contact, even though we lived literally 5 minutes away from each other because I was living in Fremont at the time. I really just didn't want anyone around me. But she was trying. She was trying, but she didn't get it. She didn't understand because she didn't go through that. You know, her mom didn't drink. She didn't drink. You know, her only people that drank in her family were her brothers. Her brothers, and then that was it. So she didn't understand the whole addiction and why I was repeating the same patterns and behaviors and not getting better. But she was supportive.
The patient has to decide on their own if they want to move forward. And like you said, you had to do this alone and by yourself. You had to sit with yourself. Boy, what was your mom's biggest dream for you?
My mom's biggest dream for me? Oh, I should have asked her this question yesterday when I was talking with her, because we had a really nice conversation. I think her biggest dream for me was back then not to drink anymore and not to be so destructive and just to be my shining self, how I was born how I was as a little girl before the drama and trauma came in, but how I was, because I was very giggly. I was just how I am now, you know, like I feel like my inner child is like, I love her. Like, I give her grace and I give her compassion. And I'm like, you know, none of this is your fault. Like, this is nothing to do with you. I said, nothing. And we have fun together.
And we have fun together. And that's exactly who you were born that. So that's who you are now and will continue to be. Important part of the healing process is forgiveness. Have you forgiven this horrible man who did what he did to you?
Oh, yes.
Did you write a letter to him? Did you ever contact him? Does he have any idea?
Spiritually, in my heart, I just say out loud, I forgive you.
That's an important part of the healing, right? It's major.
Yes. Absolutely.
Did your mom forgive him? Or has your mom forgiven him?
You know, the funny thing, or not, maybe I should say funny, the interesting thing is that we never really talked about it afterward. It's been like not talked about, but I'm talking about it all the time now.
Would you want to talk to your mom about it?
If it comes up, I will. I don't have no problem with it, but I don't know if she's gone through that healing process, or if maybe she's feeling guilty. I'm not sure what she's going through, but maybe one day we'll have a conversation together just to chat, you know, because I love her. That love will never go away. And she's so special to me. She's never given up. And I love her to death. She's like my soul mom, I believe, or like a part of my soul family. She's not like my earthly family. She's like she's connected to me spiritually.
Yeah. Does she feel responsible for what happened?
I want to say, I can't really speak for herself, but I want to say by her not sharing with me or saying, you know, or mentioning it, she may feel responsible because she feels like, you know, I think I would feel responsible if I was her. You know, I was thinking like that as a mother, I'd be like, oh my goodness, you know, but I forgive her, and maybe I need to tell her that.
Oh, I think that. And your mom's name is Linda, and my mom's name is Linda.
Oh, no way! Oh,
yeah.
my goodness.
Okay, Linda.
That.
So,
Yes.
that might be a conversation. I mean, what do I know? I'm just a podcast host.
That'd be a great conversation.
But I think that's important, and you know, but you You're the one that will know. And because you don't want her to be harboring any pain or suffering inside for what happened.
Right.
But did you ever go back to college?
You know what? I went to National Holistic Institute and got
Bravo.
And I did get my holistic certification there with massage therapy as well. But, that is one of her dreams. I take that back. I need to finish. I think I only have one semester left of getting my BA.
Great.
Maybe I will just do that. That is one of her dreams. So maybe that is a goal of hers. And, I'll make it a goal of mine now.
Yeah, that would be pretty great. I mean, not that you haven't done enough already to, put yourself on a podium. And one day, will this be a story you share with your children?
Absolutely. Yes, I'm in the process of also writing a book, memoir as well, and that will be in there because I wanted to leave a legacy and I wanted to share it to the world that, people do go through this and people can get out of it. And then, we have to sometimes just go through that darkness to see the light. And once we see the light, it's just you become unstoppable and just so loving and just energetically present with and just appreciate everything in the world.
Yeah. And your mom I would assume, is very proud of you, or you tell me?
Oh, yes. Always tells me she's proud of me. She always sends me cards during my birthday, Christmas time, any holiday, yesterday. And she always shares with me how proud she is of me.
For someone who's a recovered alcoholic, is it every day you wake up and that is present in you, or some days you don't even think about it at all?
I don't ever think about it anymore because I've learned to love myself so much to the point, not like in an arrogant or conceited way, but in such a loving, compassionate, giving myself grace way. Yeah, it's forgiving myself. That I never think about alcohol. Like we can make jokes about, not make jokes, but we can talk about alcohol on the table with the family. It doesn't bother me. I'm like, oh yeah, I remember those days. Yeah.
Do you drink?
No, I don't drink at all. No.
I don't think you need it. You're so happy.
I make mocktails.
They're great.
If there's a party there, we have a get together and everyone's ordering drinks or cocktails, I'd be like, I'll make a fun mocktail. So I'll ask the bartender, can you just make like something cool but without the alcohol?
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, my husband and I were in Estonia, in Tallinn, in March of 2024, and we went to this beautiful restaurant, and the mocktails were all food-based, plant-based. They weren't just sugary juices and things. They were the most spectacular pieces of art that I've ever. And my husband was kind of jealous because he was enjoying the wine,
Yeah.
So, it's a whole new high, a natural high.
Oh, yes, totally. I love that.
Gina Kunadian, I can't thank you enough. Transformation Shining Process. Your podcast is called Shine Within. You can find it anywhere and everywhere. Kudos to you, and big shout out to your mom, Linda, from all of us that should have listened to my mother.
Thank you so much, Jackie.
And we'll be back next week with another episode of Should Have Listened to My Mother.